Hello, hello friends. Good morning. Today we'll be discussing about the topic which says that Canada steps up surveillance of foreign investment in pandemic. Before we start, please subscribe to my channel so that you will not miss any updates from my side. So let's dive into the article and see what it says. This is from Bloomberg. Canada says it will apply extra scrutiny to foreign investment in companies that are related to public health or that supply critical goods during the pandemic. So many countries are following this route where they really want to make sure that they you know don't allow hostile takeovers of their companies by foreign countries. So Canada is just one of them. But the fun part in this is that now India recently did this, right, with the People's Bank of China and HDFC scenario. But in China, most of the development happens because of foreign investment. So the domestic market in China is very small. Okay, it's just 35 million people that live in Canada. In Canada, and that's why the thing is that Canada really needs to rely on the foreign market as much as possible, without any option of its own. Now, why is that? Because as you can see, some investments into Canada by state-owned enterprises may be motivated by non-commercial imperatives that could harm Canada's economic or national security interests, a risk that is amplified in the current context. Okay, so as I have outlined in my previous videos, many Chinese multimillionaires and billionaires own apartments and houses in major Canadian cities, and they also own stake in major Canadian banks and businesses, um, because they just need some place to hide the money from the Communist Party of China. Okay, the CCP, which is the Chinese Communist Party, they need a place to hide that kind of money, and that's why Chinese investment literally has caused housing bubbles in Toronto, in Montreal, in Vancouver, everywhere. Okay, so now just look at the next paragraph. The move follows the actions of other countries to tighten investment rules during the pandemic. Australia, for example, said last month all foreign takeovers will need government approval no matter how small. Now, to be honest, even Australia has population of just about 25 million, which is 2.5 crore people. They don't have that much domestic market. Taxes are too high in Canada. Cost of living is just astronomical. Same thing with New Zealand as well. So, these three countries, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, they don't have the kind of domestic market that can, satisfy the needs of the companies. So, what do companies need, right? The companies need somebody to buy the stake in them so that they get money to, start their operations and, provide profit. Okay. So, but the fact of the matter is that with the high level of taxes in Canada and Australia and New Zealand, with the high level of cost of living, okay, in most of these cities, and with less internal population, less domestic consumption, these countries just cannot rely on just themselves. Okay, they will have to open up foreign investment one day or the other, otherwise they will die. That's just the fact. Okay, these countries are facing an existential crisis where if they don't allow investment from other countries to come into their soil, they are going to vanish. That's just how things are at this point. Now, in case of America, America has a very big domestic market. Okay, so there are almost more than 350 million people that live in America, and so the domestic market is pretty huge. That's why they don't need the kind of investment from outside, at least for now. But as more and more immigrants stop coming to America, surely they are going to face the same kind of scenario as Canada and Australia. So let's get to the next paragraph. Canada will leave the enhanced measures in place until the economy recovers from the pandemic. The shutdown of non essential businesses and social distancing measures to curb the spread of the virus has brought the Canadian economy to a near halt and caused company values to plummet. Okay, so Canadian economy is absolutely at, it's not at all functioning anymore. It is completely at a standstill, and company values have really gone very down. So Canada's benchmark index, which is the S&P TSX, which is the Toronto Stock Exchange, composite index is down almost 16% since the start of the year, even after 4 straight weeks of gains. Okay, so as I have said in my previous videos, the stock market is rising. It's just a crazy thing that is happening all around the world. But stock market is rising, but the economy is tanking down. Okay, so the stock market has had 4 straight weeks of gains, but even then it is 16% down since since the start of this year. So uh, this just goes on to say how much Canada is dependent on foreign investment and immigrants, to be honest, because what exactly does constitute as a foreign investment? You know, even immigrants are a foreign investment. Okay, what do immigrants do? Immigrants come into the country, they pay a whole lot of fees to process their visas, they bring cash into the country, they spend cash, okay, and then they also contribute to the economy because they pay taxes. Okay, so if you look at this entire thing, Canada is the absolute winner if it allows more and more immigrants into the country, because what immigrants do is that is they come inside the country, they pay a whole lot of taxes, they set up families over here, they buy houses. So some immigrants do buy houses over here, even though the housing market is just crazy as such. Then they buy cars, they boost the domestic consumption, and that's why Canada really needs immigrants desperately. Okay, that's why what I've if you read between the lines of this article, what it means is that foreign investment is not just by companies but also by or through the route of immigration. Okay, so Canada has just suspended immigration in the country for the rest of this year, that is the rest of 2020. But surely Canada cannot shut its doors completely to immigrants. Okay, Canada is a country that desperately needs immigrants. Again, let me just tell this to you. Canada is a country that desperately needs immigrants, and if immigrants stop coming into Canada, the country will collapse. Okay, so this is just another example how countries become protectionist. So Canada is considered to be like the poster child of liberalism in the entire world, and right now even Canada is starting to become very protectionist. So it's just a matter of time that all the countries will start looking after themselves, and we'll be living in a world of regionalism rather than globalization. So the era of globalization is really over, as per my understanding. Okay, so if you look at most of the shipments as well, so there is a country in South America called Peru, and its shipment was blocked from China by Turkey. Okay, so a ship left from China with masks and surgical equipments that was blocked by Turkey because they wanted those equipments for themselves, and then it was released by Spain from Turkey for Peru. So just imagine how things are happening here. Okay, I mean every country is just trying to look after itself at one point, and um, you know ideally everybody should just band together and try to find a common solution for this. But we don't live in an ideal world. Realistically, to be honest, everybody is just trying to make sure that their country doesn't blow up in this entire madness of the pandemic. So if you liked my comments, if you agree or disagree, please let me know in the comments, and do subscribe to my channel because subscription really helps me to understand how exactly I should direct my efforts. So please do subscribe, and hit the bell icon so that you will never miss an update from my side. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye bye.